Donald Trump is getting weaker and weaker every single day, and he knows it. His approval rating is sinking to historic lows while he suffers daily losses in court. There are protests across the country of Donald Trump every single day while institutions refuse to pre-capitulate and bend the knee like we saw them do in the first months of his administration. And so Donald Trump is turning to intimidation, which is what we saw him do with a judge in Wisconsin who he arrested today and immediately was hit with rightful public backlash. And the legal decision is backfiring because we saw Donald Trump's administration forced to delete a post showing that they have no justification for what they're doing, and this is just the purpose of intimidation. We are going to get into all of it and some actual positive news about this judge. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into the positive news, and of course, the post that was just deleted, I want to hear some breaking news context from MSNBC on everything that's happened right here.
A judge in Wisconsin was arrested this morning at the very courthouse where she works. Joining us now is NBC's Tom Winter. Back with us is Temadayo Oganga-Williams. So, Tom, what exactly happened here?
Right, so the details are still coming in, but the reporting comes from our colleague Mike Cosner at our Washington, D.C. bureau. He's reporting that Judge Hannah Duggan, who she's a Milwaukee County Circuit judge, was arrested this morning, quote, for allegedly assisting an undocumented immigrant in avoiding arrest after he appeared in her courtroom last week. Apparently, and by the way, we found out about all of this because the FBI director, Kash Patel, issued a tweet that has since been deleted. We're not sure why it was deleted, announcing this arrest and announcing these charges. And he said, quote, "We believe Judge Duggan intentionally misdirected federal agents away from the subject to be arrested in her courthouse, Eduardo Flores Ruiz, allowing the subject, an illegal alien," his words, "to evade arrest," end quote. So we're still trying to get some of the details as to what this individual was specifically brought into court for, what charges they were specifically facing, and some of the details of this arrest. I checked, just as you were talking to our colleague Chris Jansing there in Rome, the docket in Wisconsin, the federal charging documents have not yet been unsealed in this particular case. That's not particularly unusual when an arrest happens, and sometimes it takes a while for that paperwork. And remember, there's a time difference as well to appear on the record. So, again, still trying to get some details. But again, the arrest was apparently made at 9:30 Eastern time this morning. This follows, by the way, Jose, some similar types of incidents throughout the country where judges have been involved in some of these ICE cases. Just yesterday, the Suffolk County District Attorney in Boston, a democratically elected district attorney, issued a report actually chastising the judge that was involved in an immigration case there, saying the judge acted improperly after the judge accused ICE and prosecutors there of basically colluding together to get somebody who was about to face trial. A jury had just been impaneled to be removed by ICE. The district attorney's office did an investigation into that and actually rebuked what the judge said. So there's definitely some pushback in law enforcement circles. And one of the things that the Suffolk County District Attorney pointed to there, which may or may not be relevant in the Milwaukee case, in this judge that was just arrested and the judge that we've been speaking about, is this idea of the supremacy clause. Basically, ICE has the authority, because they're a federal agency, to conduct these arrests, whether or not it's in a local courtroom or not. And there have been different steps and different things have been done over the years with respect to some of these arrests. And there's been a number of cases that have gone through this even all prior to this current Trump administration. So it's definitely an issue that I think everybody thought would reach a particular point. It appears that it has this morning in the case of this Milwaukee judge. We'll just have to see what charges are ultimately brought once that docket becomes unsealed, Jose.
This is fascistic. This is Donald Trump trying to intimidate. This is Donald Trump trying to coerce. This is Donald Trump acknowledging that his plans have fallen apart, right? We saw this in the first few weeks and days of his administration when they weren't hitting the deportation numbers they wanted to. And so now they've turned to these huge public stunts in which they're wrongfully, unlawfully, immorally shipping people to El Salvador and now arresting judges. It is disgusting, and it is getting the public backlash that it deserves and that we need to be making in this moment. And thankfully, the response is actually leading to some results, because after this news broke, we saw A little bit of positive news in this article. Live updates. Judge accused of helping man evade immigration agents is released after arrest. The FBI on Friday arrested Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan, accusing her of helping a man evade immigration authorities, escalating a clash between the Trump administration and local authorities over the Republican president's sweeping immigration crackdown. Dugan is accused of escorting the man and his lawyer out of her courtroom through the jury door last week after learning that immigration authorities were seeking his arrest. The man is taken into custody outside the courthouse after agents chased him down on foot. Dugan was taken into custody by the FBI on Friday morning on the courthouse grounds and appeared briefly in federal court in Milwaukee later Friday before being released from custody. Although some did not anticipate this would be the case early in the morning when the news broke, Judge Dugan was released on bond, and so she is not being held hostage by this Trump administration in a jail cell, and it's clear why. Because even they themselves do not believe they have the evidence to support her arrest or any criminal activity that happened. And that's clear in this post that Kash Patel had to delete. Just now, the FBI arrested Judge Hannah Dugan out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin on charges of obstruction after evidence of Judge Dugan obstructing an immigration arrest operation last week. We believe Judge Dugan intentionally misdirected federal agents away from the subject to be arrested in her courthouse, Eduardo Ruiz, allowing the subject, an illegal alien, to evade arrest. Thankfully, our agents chased down the perp on foot, and he's been in custody since. But the judge's obstruction created increased danger to the public. We will have more to share. Excellent work, FBI Milwaukee. Kash Patel went on to delete that announcement, with one journalist pointing out that Kash Patel's announcement about the arrest of a judge has been deleted, possibly because it included the line, "we believe," rather than "we found or proved." They don't care about evidence. That's not what this is about. This is about intimidation, because they are suffering loss after loss and are trying to change the public perception around just how weak Donald Trump is. And he is weak. He is suffering daily losses in court, and Rachel Maddow laid that all out in this clip right here.
Things are going very, very dramatically south for Trump with the American public in truly overwhelming numbers and over the widest possible breadth of issues. And correlation is not causation, but that is happening at the same time that things are going south for Trump in terms of him just being stopped when he's trying to do stuff. Americans of various stripes and in various positions associated with various institutions just stopping him from doing what he's trying to get away with. This week, for example, Trump has been blocked by 2 more judges, one in Colorado, one in New York, both prohibiting him from using the Alien Enemies Act from the fricking 1700s to try to disappear any more people without giving them the opportunity to contest what he's calling them and what he's doing to them. In New York, a federal district court judge extended his earlier order blocking Trump on this issue. He said in his ruling this week, quote, "This is not the Inquisition. It is not medieval times. This is the United States of America." Yeah, speaking of the Black Death. Now, yet another federal judge has ordered Trump to return to the United States, yet another man who Trump sent to that prison in El Salvador. Everybody in the country has now been following closely this case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. The administration is still trying to dodge and delay its response to the Supreme Court's directive that Mr. Abrego Garcia needs to be returned to the United States. But now there's another man. Now, a Maryland federal judge has ordered that Trump must return yet another young man who he sent to El Salvador, a man identified only by the name Christian in court proceedings. Simultaneously, Frederica Wilson is the latest Democratic member of Congress to show up bodily at one of these black hole sites where Trump has been shipping people. We spoke earlier this week on this program with Congressman Troy Carter, who led a delegation of U.S. members of Congress and one senator down to the 2 Trump administration immigration prisons in Louisiana. Now, Frederica Wilson, the Democratic congresswoman from Florida, has gone to another one of these facilities, the one in South Florida. That's the so-called Chrome immigration prison in Miami. And it's important that she is there. Part of not disappearing people is making sure that the places people are taken to stay on the map and get high-profile visitors and oversight and press attention. And Democratic members of Congress, including Frederica Wilson today, are starting now to make that happen. Trump lost in court again this week on his transgender military ban. He's now asking the United States Supreme Court to take it up. Trump lost in court this week on denying passports to transgender people as well. Trump lost in court this week on trying to shut down the Voice of America media service. Trump lost in court this week on his bizarre executive order trying to mount a federal takeover of elections. This is, you might remember this is where he said he wanted to hand over all state voter rolls to his top campaign donor, Elon Musk. Because, yeah, what could possibly go wrong with that? That was blocked today in court. Trump lost today in court as well on denying so-called sanctuary cities and counties federal funds. Trump lost in court today on trying to impose ideological anti-diversity punishments on American school districts. And to add insult to injury, Trump also today got to enjoy the spectacle of the Republican governor of North Dakota vetoing a Trump-inspired North Dakota book ban that would have sentenced librarians in North Dakota to prison terms for violating that ban. He vetoed it. Republicans in the state legislature passed it, but he vetoed it. That's too far, even for the Republican governor of North Dakota, who can probably read a poll. Yeah, that's how it's going over with the Republican governor of North Dakota. How do you think it's going over with the American public that they're trying to pull this book ban stuff at places like the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis? This was St. Augustine, Florida. Yesterday, people protesting against Trump's cuts to the national parks. Protect our national parks. We love our national park rangers. Protect our public lands. This was Modesto, California, on the left side of your screen at the offices of Republican Congressman Tom McClintock. On the right side of your screen, that's Pueblo, Colorado, at the offices of Republican Congressman Jeff Hurd. In both cases, yesterday, people protesting against Trump and the Republicans' planned huge cuts to Medicaid. This was Des Moines, Iowa. Iowans rally for the rights of the deported. People rallying in Des Moines on the left side of your screen, and on the right side of your screen, people rallying at the federal building in Rochester, New York. In both cases, telling Trump to obey court orders, to stop disappearing people without due process.
There is only one way to understand this story. Donald Trump is weak, and he is trying to appear strong. He knows that public sentiment has changed, and he is trying to intimidate those who know that they have the backing of public support to oppose the unlawful actions of Donald Trump. And so he is trying to make them fear for their lives, for their safety. That is what he is trying to impose on the rest of the country. Whether you are an elected official, whether you're a judge, whether you're a regular person, Donald Trump wants to make you feel scared of opposing him. And we can't be. We have to continue to fight back. We're certainly going to do so on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.